You're now tuned into another episode of Juicy Gems, your go-to podcast for everything related to the world of stocks. Discover new trade ideas, current stock market trends, and option trading tips, exclusive interviews with other successful traders, and so much more. Let's go! Welcome to Juicy Gems. Now with your host, Xavier the Master Trader.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Juicy Gems. I am your host, Xavier, the Master Trader. I am a 9-year trading veteran that was a former financial advisor with 7 back-to-back green years. Now, today is an extremely special episode of Juicy Gems because this episode was not planned to be a podcast. Actually, this episode, we're going to intervene in a live one-on-one coaching session that turned into a podcast. I'm going to be sitting in with one of my top students. His name's Khalif. He's took 13,000 and took it to 123,000 within 4 weeks. Amazing. Following the rules, the systems that we teach at Juicy Trades. But this is very raw. It's very authentic because this was live. This was not pre-recorded. There's no scripts. This was raw, authentic, and he's going down over his process. He's going over what mistakes he's made. Everything was done live in a one-on-one session that turned into a podcast. Okay. Big shout outs to Blake from Trade Tracer. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us tonight. As I just said, we are doing a live one-on-one. He wasn't there for this, but we're going to jump right into the conversation. It's going to be a little different. Once the recording picks up, you're going to hear him talking, okay? And you're going to hear a difference in audio, a slight difference in quality, but that's because we're recording on Zoom. So we're going to jump right into the live session in 3, 2, 1.
About booking profits.
Yeah. You thought I was playing about recording this, did you?
Oh no, you good, man. Trust me. Hey, what I recognize about you, man, you're a teacher at heart. And so if you got an opportunity to share a lesson with somebody else is gonna help them not do what I did, man. Shoot, I don't want anybody to experience that week and a half, 2 weeks of what I went through. Because mentally, like, it carried over to everything, man. We got 4 kids. I'm in here like, man, if you don't get out the room and I ain't trying to look at y'all, like I just lost 68 grand. Y'all get out of here. But mentally, it took me to a place that I had never been. And I'm like, I don't want nobody to experience that. And it was like nothing that you taught. Like, just follow the freaking process, follow the program. I watched every one of them lessons that you taught, every last one of them. And I did everything you said except for stop loss.
Well, first things first, let's intervene here. This is Xavier. I'm here with one of my top students, Khalif. We were doing a one-on-one session with a mentorship session with 3 other people. Sorry, we had to break this down, but I really feel like this is something that everybody needs to listen to. Khalif's been with me from the start, right?
October, man. Really? So I joined in October, but I would just listen to the calls of when? Of 2020.
2020. Oh, but we were Juicy Trades, or were we
Juicy Trades? But we were on, what is that called?
Okay.
We were on Slack. So you still would call it Precision Capital during the beginning of calls, then it went straight Juicy Trades.
Yeah. So you was back in the way. Well, anyways, Khalif brought
13,000.
What'd you start at? And what'd you get it up to?
In 3.5 weeks.
Amazing. Fucking literally amazing.
It's crazy.
And what happened?
It's crazy. So I knew when I got it on a Roku trade, when I finally figured it out, I was laying in the bed and I heard you say, like, man, just pick one strategy. You ain't got to do everything else. So I'm doing orbs. I'm doing all this other crap. I was like, man, I'm going to just do one strategy. I'm going to just look for wedges. I started calling myself like I'm the wedge hunter, man. That's all I'm doing. I'm looking for wedges. So I found a Roku trade like December 4th. And I hit it 3 times in the same day for like 4 grand, like back to back to back. I left that day and I was like, yo, I got it. I remember leaving my office and I told my wife, I said, yo, I'll figure this thing out. I said, I'm just looking for wedges all day. If I follow that pattern, I'll be fine. I took that 13 because I started with 13 and took it all the way down to 4 grand by playing around with that earnings and all that other crap. When I started following your stuff in December, like I told you, December 4th, I took that 4 to 13, that 13 to 25. I hit 25 on like, I want to say December 12th. I hit 25 on December 12th. And then after that, I would call TD Ameritrade and I was like, yo, give me a merchant account so I can do unlimited because I'm doing cash trades all that time.
And that's a big step, right? When you go and cash the market, you think you the shit when you do
bro,
that, right?
You couldn't tell me nothing, man. I was like, what? Y'all let me trade all day, every day? So, and here's the crazy part. X, I went from 25 to 50 literally in 2 days. So I took that 25, turned it into 50, and I'm not going all in on these trades. I was doing 20%, like you said. I was doing that 20% amount because I wasn't trying to blow it up all on one trade. And I looked at that account like in your classes as like a mid-size account now. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go with this thing and do what I need. And I printed out these papers because I know I wanted to hit 100 grand for the end of the year. And so I printed out a 25, a 50, a 75, 100, and a 125. And I gave them to my wife. And I was like, yo, every day when I come back down and I tell you the number out the office, hand me that joint if I hit it. If I hit that number, I earned that joint. And I would just put them up on the wall like, like awards, basically. Like, yo, I earned this joint today. And so for me, when I remember that it was maybe 2 to 4 days when I hit 50. And then from 50, 75, literally like 3 or 4 days later. And I knew when I was to the point where, okay, I could care less about losses. I hit that 123 like on the 24th of December 20, like right before Christmas. And then I smacked like 12,000 that morning. And then my brother was like, yo, you done for the day, right? I was like, no, man, done. It's like, we got like 6 more hours. What are you talking about? Ain't nobody done. And I think I lost on a Tesla trade that day. Like I closed the day like positive 1,000. So I lost like 11 grand, like on Tesla. And I closed it because I didn't want to go. I only closed it because I didn't want to go into Christmas holding no loser.
Oh man,
but
yeah.
I still had like 2 weeks on it because I don't do like weeklies often. I was at that time doing the bi-weeklies. I think Brandon used to be on the call. And around that time, you guys used to talk about like the weekly versus the bi-weekly. And he was saying, you got to let stuff play out some more. So I would do that. And I'll even tell you this, X, when I first started smacking them for real, I was doing zero DTE.
Zero DTE.
And you know why? You said something one time. You was like, listen, man, these are high risk plays. You shouldn't be taking these and all that stuff. But I was winning like every Friday, man. I was walking away with like at least 10 every Friday. And it was obviously giving me that gambler's fallacy. So I'm like, all right, man, shoot, I'm hitting every Friday. But then I started looking like the Vega on them things is super low. So like you need a big move to make bread, first of all. And then second of all, like you are straight gambling. Like if you're not right immediately, get out. And my philosophy of never cutting didn't help. So man, I was letting some joints expire, giving them folks $5 grand on a Friday. Like, oh, here you go. Because it's going to come back at some point, hopium trading. It's going to come back. No, it's not coming back. Like it ain't, and even I wish some of them times in the beginning I would have took L's. So I wouldn't have gotten that, built into me like, hey man, losers will come back. The overwhelming majority of the time they won't, and if you have a higher percentage and a better likelihood of actually being successful if you cut losers. You take one bad trade, lose 10%, you follow it right back up with 15%, you have 5 for the day. Like the percentages are on your side, especially when you have a good system. Sometimes I follow your trades exactly to the day. I try to make sure I get that field number exactly where you get it, and if I miss it, I may wait. Cause I'm like, shoot, I ain't gonna be sitting in this trade and they hollering cut. And I'm still sitting in it because I'm 5 percentage points below where his entry was.
Yeah.
So that field part's important. But I mean, that experience, everybody I think needs that, what they call it, paying tuition. So I paid my tuition in the beginning for sure, but it was like, a lot of that was unnecessary, man. And again, it was the mindset. I came in like, again, it was unreal. So because I thought it was unreal, like this monopoly money, if I lose it, if I win it, my risk tolerance was a lot higher than somebody else's. And two, it was really real, and then it's like, man, 68K 1 week? Like, what are you doing? How's that possible? Like, that's 68,000 real dollars. Even if you're making money, your kids could use that.
Let me just hop in for 1 second, because for the viewers back at home, when they listen to this, we kind of started recording in the middle of the conversation. We do this a lot, by the way, when we start talking to students and start talking about trading, and we end up start dropping these gems, and I'll start recording in the middle of the conversation. So if you're listening, I'm just want to bring you up to speed. Khalif, what everything you just heard is everything that I went through as a trader, right? You start making money fast in the market, but you stop managing risk because you're making so much money. Okay. So when you go through that, you feel invincible in a way. It feels like if I lose 20K today, no, you fuck, I'll make it back tomorrow. Right.
100%.
Like I don't care about that because I had a 68K week, just as you said. But eventually, if you don't manage risk the proper way, over time, it's going to take it back from you. That's what the market has, this funny way of doing it. And I'm going to give you a couple examples. I'm not going to say his name, but there's a trader here, and he would never manage risk profitably, but he will always talk shit on Stock Twist and Twitter. He took a 5K account. He grew it to 165,000 in a couple months, and that guy blew up 4 accounts. Nobody has ever seen him again. So at the end of the day, anybody that's listening, the most important thing that you guys can do is shift your mindset to taking profit and managing risk. It doesn't matter if the market's moving. What's important is to be disciplined enough to only trade the plan. And Khalif can vouch for me here. If something's rallying, just going straight up, I will not get in that trade unless XYZ happens. Right.
For sure.
And if that doesn't happen, I'm not going to get in the trade.
X will say, he'll say, yeah, I'm good, man. It's clean. Y'all can take it. I'm going to hold out.
Y'all can take it.
I'm hold out. And it's crazy because I'll be cracking up. I'm like, that means he sees something that they're not seeing. And the other part that I'll tell you mentally, and I'm not trying to hype you up or anything. I've been around some good teachers and all that. But one thing that you're really, really good at is teaching your trading. And so one of the things with that success had me believing was that I was better than you. I'm like, oh man, look, I'm out here popping 30,000 and 15,000 in 2 seconds. Man, I'm calling out stuff before he called out. Like, it would make me feel good when I went to trade before y'all even catch it. And I'm like, I done called this out, and I done caught like in your trade, you say, you can't catch the whole thing. I'm like, man, I done caught the whole thing, the bottom and the top. And then I was like, dude, this dude been doing this for 8 years. You've been doing this for like 2 months. You are not better than him. Like, not at all. And when I recognized that I was nowhere close to better than you, is when and it was before I took the L, I was like, why are you paying for this service? Why have you become a gold member? And why are you not taking the trades with him? Like, I'm out here searching for my own stuff. I would go to the classes at night. I would sit through the charts, and then I would spend a whole nother hour looking for my own. Like, I'm going to find a diamond in the rough. I'm like, this cat, he does this. Like, this is what he does. Why are you doing anything extra? Like, it didn't make any sense. It's like somebody hired me to be their attorney, and then they go out and try to go win the case on their own. Like, that makes no logical sense. And when I recognized that, I was like, dude, you are killing yourself. You have all the tools to be successful. This guy got everything you can use, trade ideas, all these other platforms to allow him to be successful. And he's literally trying to teach you how to be successful. Like, why are you trying to beat that? And it wasn't anything that you guys did. It was me. Like, I'm like, I gotta be the best. Like, no, you're not about to be the best. Not right now.
That's you as a male. And let me hop in on this too, because there's the opposite side of that, right? So anybody that has any doubt to a system, right? And when you start following a trading system, there are times in your trading system which will allow you to profit beyond belief. And then there's times where your trading system is going to say, hold up, I'm not getting in a trade. And during those times, you're going to have somebody on a corner over there making 600% off whatever the hell, AMC, Clover, or whatever it may be. And during that time, a lot of new traders, they see self-doubt, right? They see like, oh, I'm not good because I've been trading for 8 years and Khalif's just been trading for 6 months and he's doubled what I made this week. That doesn't make you a bad trader, because in the end, like I said before, I knew a guy who went from small to a large amount, but the market always gets you back, right?
Man, that dude in the book said something that challenged me though. He said,
Mark Douglas.
Yeah, Mark said in the book, he said, most attorneys and doctors are really bad at trading, right? He said something like, because the things that make them successful in the real world don't work in the market. And so that was like a challenge to me. So I'm like, okay, so you're saying a cat like me, that's an attorney that came from nothing, North Philly, now I can go to law school, but in this game, I can't be successful. So I took it as a personal challenge to show him, no, I'm about to do this. I'm going to figure this thing out that you're saying attorneys can struggle with. And if they do, it ain't going to be this guy. And so I read that book in November, and that kind of sprung me into December saying, no, I put in the work to try to figure this thing out. And it was good setups. I'll tell you this other thing, X. You asked the question a few months ago about the calls, right? The Zoom calls or the audio calls. This was while we were still on Slack. You were still on Slack. And I want to amend my answer. So you said at the time, y'all want to get rid of the calls. Like, do you think we should just go back to, doing the alerts and all that? And I was like, heck no, man. Like, I love the call.
Calls of highlighted day.
Right. Like, it's amazing. I still love them. But I can tell you, for a new trader, and I still consider myself a new trader, but I'm talking about like somebody that's but brand new. I could see where it could be problematic for a new trader because you don't have the discipline and you don't know what you're doing and you just jumping in stuff. Like you ain't verifying it. You're not checking it. You're putting 1,000% like confidence in this trade. And now in the excitement, you got Karan talking about press it. And like, so you geeked up on 1,000 and everybody like, yo, I'm in, you know, like you trade from your phone. You ain't seen no chart. You ain't doing none of that. You're like, I'm in, they gonna make bread. You don't even know when these cats got in the trade. You know, you just getting in and you may be, 10 minutes late. So you caught zero of the move. Your entry was way late. So now you're still in and these folks booking profits and you waiting for the rise. And so I say again, I will only amend it because I think it does increase FOMO, but the camaraderie is amazing. Like the feedback is amazing. Bouncing trade ideas off of folks is amazing. And again, showing your ability to pass on stuff. Like I often talk to folks about how you don't get an opportunity to see the mind of a leader. Like you don't get to hear how they think. The calls give you an opportunity to hear how you guys think. So if you're on the call and you're about to get in the trade and then you're like, nope, I see something. I'm pulling up the chart and I'm trying to look and see what you're seeing. Why? Because there was a red flag that went off immediately in your brain to say, nope, I'm not doing it. Or it's 9:45 and you hear Cat's computers, ding, 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 ding. And you're like, I'm all cash. See, for me, it's good to see that because you have that mental pause that comes with time and experience, which I think those novice traders need to hear. And so that's why I say, I still am all in on the calls. I think we need them, but I can see why some cats was like, yeah, go back to this and making alerts. And I was like before, like, I don't know why they're saying that doesn't make sense. I can see the FOMO has increased on some other cats in the group
because of the call. And just for anybody that's listening, we run a live audio feed during the trading day, so you get to hear me and my team leaders and how we find trades. But I like to say, even though it can increase FOMO, this is your opportunity to become disciplined. Now, if you're a silver or gold member, you're already going to know. You're going to have access to my lessons, and you're going to learn this mindset. But if you're bronze, you're not going to have some of these tools like this. By you saying, you hearing somebody screaming how euphoric they are in the game, right? And you can look at that trade and say, it's clean, I ain't going to take it. You've adapted and gotten to another level of mindset. And that's where you need to become consistent. You should only take the trades that line up to your trading plan. It doesn't matter who's in it. I don't care if the biggest name from Twitter, let's say Billy Bob's Alerts, gets into a trade and then everybody's up on it. If it's not your trade, you don't get in. And I like to go back to what I just said before, being on the other side of that. When your trading plan does not line up and everybody else is making money, it really sucks, but you have to understand this is part of the game. And in the long term, as Khalif just said, you might make money in the short term, but you will end up losing money by following your plan. In the long term is how you win. And everybody here's another gem for you. Stop looking at how much money you are making today. Start looking at how much money you are making on the week and how much money you're up on the month. And you start looking at it differently, right? If you start looking at it on the day chart and how much you're making today, you're like, oh my God, I made this or I lost this. But if you look at it at the week, you're like, I'm up 30K.
Right.
Do I really need to risk any profit on this half-ass setup? If somebody's screaming on the audio feed, do I really need to follow in on that trade because I've already made all this money, right?
So it's just like your risk management changes during the week. I mean, during the trade. So if you're in the trade and you already up $1,000 and your price target is like, okay, another $250, is it worth risking that grand for that $250? Like it shifts the same way as if you're already up 30 grand during the week and it's Thursday. Like, okay, my risk tolerance shifts where do I even want to trade for the rest of the week? Like I looked at your chart the one time you posted up of your trades when you were using, I don't know if you still use that charting thing for charting, tracking your trades daily. But you would put something Trader Sync. So on Trader Sync, one time you showed a screenshot of your month. And I don't know if you noticed this, your most profitable days are like Tuesdays and Mondays, basically, right? On Fridays, obviously, because you take those half a days with the Pancake Fridays.
Friday, boy.
Right. It's going to be hit or miss. Obviously, you still be profitable, but you had a larger but I see you take less trades during that time. and you like, I don't mind missing. If I don't get in that trade, I'm okay with it. But Monday, if you come out swinging, and it's not like you're searching for stuff, but it's like, it seems like, and this is something I'm trying to get better at, you're trying to make sure you have that cushion for the rest of the week.
Yes.
And
yes,
that's a good thing.
How long did it take you to learn that?
I seen that screenshot. For me, that mental just went off. Like, look, this dude, he has a lot more money in the week, and it makes you a better trader for the rest of the week because you're not taking those crazy risks. Probably December, January, and I said, okay, perfect. I'm trying to bag profits Monday and Tuesday, and so I cannot get in the trade if I don't want to on Wednesday or Thursday, and if it ain't 100% perfect, I'm good. And then Friday, I've done this rule, man. When I came back, another thing I've done, because the mental part for me, I know I'm not there yet. I don't like taking trades on Friday anymore. So I went from taking those 0 DTE trades on Fridays to not even really trading on Fridays. Why? Because if I take an L on a Friday, I know I got to wait the whole weekend to be able to get back in the market again to feel better about my trade. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to prefer to just watch. So a lot of times on Friday, man, even though it'd be great, juicy setups, I'm good with sitting on my hands all day, and I'll be on the call the whole time, and I might not take a trade the whole day because
and that's when you really became disciplined.
I can't risk going into Saturday thinking about, dang, dude, why'd you take that trade? Like, so for me, okay, I may trade 4 days out of the week and catch them back on Monday. And looking at your percentages of your wins, I know I have a better chance following you on a Monday and Tuesday and coming out extremely green than messing with a Friday. And you're like, yo, I'm getting out of here at 10 o'clock. You're going to give the same effort. You're going to give the same setup. You're going to lay out the plan for the whole day. All that's great. But you're on a different time, and you may already bank 90 grand for that week. So you really ain't trying to get nothing anyway. So that both of those things kind of help me. My mindset of knowing I don't like taking losses into the weekend, and you having those short days, I'm like, yeah, I'm good with no trading on Friday. And so it's rare that I trade on Friday. Last Friday, I traded something, swung it over, made bank this weekend, today. I was good, but it broke out. It was a perfect setup. I was fine with it. But something where I'm like day trading, it's got to be amazing for me to day trade on Friday. Like, it's got to be a beautiful setup.
And I think that you just hit on a lot of parts here. I just want to cover, he said Monday and Tuesday. A big part of my strategy, and when I really learned how to get good at this, I learned to identify when are you going to have these major moves in the market? When are you going to get that you get in a trade and then the whole market moves up all day? Okay. And that usually happens on a Monday, Tuesday, right? That's why coming into the week, my goal is what you just said. You was able to identify that without even asking me. My goal was to get up profitable early in the week. That way, in the middle of the week, I can be selective and more disciplined, if not walk away and get an early start to my weekend. My theory is if I can just get a cushion, I can become a better trader towards the end of the week. And that was, you said that perfectly, man.
Well, I tell you, it shows. It shows. And you say it, not bragging either. You're like, look, man, I'm already up 50 grand for the week. I'm up 120 for the week. Like, I don't have to get in the trade. And I love that it comes off not arrogant. I love that it comes off like humble, and it's coming off like teaching. You basically telling everybody else on the call, I'm saying I don't need to get in the call. You probably don't need to get in the call either. Like, you may not need to get in the trade today either without telling cats. Like, you ain't never going to get in there and be like, hey, man, don't trade. But I can read through the lines, and it's yours telling folks, look, bro, you're up for the week. We all green this week. You say little hints like that, and the market is doing this heavy volatility stuff, and it may do a crazy drop like it did on Friday. I mean, at 350, the whole wall fell out on Friday. So if you got into something crazy, you may have blew up your whole week profit on that one trade. And then you have no way to come back from that except for the next week. So I think it's a combination of that for me, making sure that everything sets up, but just knowing like what type of trader you are. Are you a day trader? Are you a swing trader? And then are you comfortable with taking the mental losses over the weekend? Like those short weeks, I don't like that either. When we got a 3-day week, I may be done on Wednesday. Cause if they're going to be closed on Friday, I'm not trading on Thursday just cause I want that extra day to be able to manage it. Even if I get in for a one contract trade that next day, it's still like what they say, you want to leave the gym on the win, like on the make. Ain't nobody trying to leave on no miss, man.
100%. So with this whole experience that you experienced, going from small to big, pulling back a little bit here, what changes have you made going
Stop
forward?
loss 100%. Like I'm not getting into trade if I ain't got a stop loss set first. I still don't understand that trail and stop on my phone. I try it because I'm sometimes on the phone.
And I could work with you on that.
Right. I mean, I talked to Blake offline about some other stuff that he was doing as well in terms of setting the stops. But for me, the stop loss is the 100%. Like, it's a daily reminder. Like, I have to say, I have it on a sticky note sometimes. Do not get in the trade without setting a stop loss. and I have to say it to myself because I think you said on one of the recordings, if you're a new trader, you should not be having a mental stop. And I was like, man, he's not talking to me, he's talking to everybody else. He is definitely not talking
not me.
Right. Everybody, y'all cats, put the mental stop. I'm going to do mental. And as soon as it blow by your 10%, what you going to do? You're going to sit in it because you don't have the mental fortitude to cut. And it wasn't even the amount. Like, I could be in a one contract trade and still not cut at 10%. Like, because obviously it's so small. And then there's a larger one and it's the size. And so that's another thing I think has changed for me. Like, I look at percentages of trades more than size of trades. Like, when folks are like, look, I just banged off 30% or 50%. To me, that's way more important than I just got 10 grand or 5 grand, because that larger percentage move showed that you were able to catch more and that your plan worked for a longer duration and you were able to catch that, as opposed to, okay, you put 20 grand in there and you made 5 grand. That doesn't mean anything. But percentages, looking at that and the percentage that you've taken from a trade means a lot more. And I didn't even recognize that. I was definitely caught up on, hey, he just pulled 15 grand.
Yep. Dollars.
Yeah, but percentages, and then even if you take it back a step, just successful trades, man. And I thought that was like, I really caught that in the lessons. I heard you say it and I really understood it. But for me, that's my biggest thing. I just want to make sure that every trade I take lines up. Like,
now, for the viewers at home, right? Because a lot of people don't have access to the juicy. They don't get access to the juice, right? So what does lined up mean?
Well, you want to for sure have that ABC MACD. You want to make sure that it has volume. You want to make sure that it has relative volume. And you want to make sure that there's no moving averages in the way. And so I remember, it's crazy, X. I remember taking a trade one time and this taught me a bad habit. I was buying a dip. I caught myself doing it on Amazon, right? It had every moving average in front of it. And I bought the dip on Amazon and made like 18,000 on this trade, man. And so the very next day, I'm like, yo, I'm doing that all day now. I'm going to just wait for something to go low and then I'm going to let it bounce. Definitely didn't bounce. It kept going lower.
That knife, that falling knife.
Yeah, caught the falling knife and it cut my hand straight up. And I was like, yeah, that's probably not a good idea because it has 87 moving averages in front of you. Like, it got the whole cloud plus some extra ones. So it makes sense to just follow the plan and it keeps you consistent, man. Like, if you look for those things and it's not there, it really allows you to be like, I'm okay. I'm all right with not taking the trade. So what? It bounced over the moving average and it ran and I missed it. I'll catch the next one.
And I like to say that level of maturity, what you're just saying right now, it will only happen when you realize you need to, even though you're a day trader, you need to look at the longer term aspect. You can't possibly tell me that you don't care about a move or you really want to get in every move if you're looking at the long term. The long term says, well, I've made money this amount of the week. In the grand scheme of things, if I do not trade today, doesn't matter if Tesla's running up on no volume or Square's dumping. Nothing is aligned up into my trading plan, so I'm not going to trade. So it doesn't matter. I like to tell people straight up, every time anybody takes a trade and it does not line up with your trading system, it's an insult to everything that you have built, right? You spent all this time building this thing, relative volume, back testing things, making losses. Every loss that you took was to get you to this point. So therefore, why are you hopping in the trade?
That's so right, man.
Why are you
getting off emotion? You trading off I mean, I look at the whole spectrum. I told you I started trading earnings plays. So I'm trading earnings plays and I'm winning and I'm loving. I'm like, oh man, I'm the best. And then I got smacked in the face. I was like, okay, earnings is trash. And then I'm jumping at. And then when I really started following your plan and started looking at your lessons, I was like, yo, this is not gambling what he doing. This is really a skill set. Like if you just follow this, and if it has relative volume, if you look for that pop, it's going to go. And the best part about it, if it doesn't, cut it like immediately. And that part of it is what makes you better than 99% of the market, because that cutting it immediately and being okay cutting immediately at 10%, hit my stop. I'm about to get stopped out. I hear y'all say that so many times on the call. I was like, man, these folks are not playing. It's coming close to the stop. I got my finger on the cut. Like all of that for me is the best part of the trade, because that's what new traders I don't think are good at. Everybody can catch a winner, but you can't teach that learning how to be consistent with stops. And that is probably the most important lesson in your whole training, because you say it 1,000 times, but it's super easy to brush over it because it does feel like gambling. That euphoria comes in, that all your blood is like rushing, you know, and you're like, man, I'm in this thing. And it could go against you so quick. And you say it a number of times, you just have to be disciplined, man. Like that discipline, it is at the core of trading. And I could see why a lot of folks burn out. I can see why they say a lot of the overwhelming majority of people that get into this market are unsuccessful because they treat it like it's a casino.
Yep.
Like blackjack. It's not. It ain't gambling. Like I did for law, we have these things called CLEs, continual legal education. I took this course about it was actually about addiction and gambling, and I'm gonna share it with you. So a lot of the stuff they talk about in the course, I hear a lot of traders saying and exhibiting some of the things they talked about in there, and that's why I'm like, because a lot of y'all gambling, like y'all ain't trading, you're gambling because y'all talking like these gamblers that were in this addiction class. They were, hitting AC every day, flying out to Vegas, and losing 100 grand and flying back. Like all of those same things are the same ups and downs that folks experience in trading when they don't have a plan, when they are not disciplined and they don't use stop loss. And I was like, listening to the class, like, yo, if they didn't say this was about gambling, you would think this was about day trading. Yeah. I'm serious, man. X, I was in there like, I told my wife, I said, man, they share very similar characteristics, but I recognize that there is a clear difference. Now, poker is a game of skill. Don't get it twisted. But for this right here that we're doing, this is 100% skill. Like you can sit down, you can learn it, and you can master your plan and execute it. It ain't gambling. It's totally different.
You know what? Let me ask you this, because I get this a lot too. Do people that know you, do they come up to you and say, oh, you're a gambler because you trade?
A lot of cats don't know I'm doing this because I do a lot of other stuff. Okay. I'm a former elected official. So a lot of cats don't know I day trade. But my brother, he's the one that got me in your group. My wife, a couple other cats. But no, they don't, because I hit them right with it like from the very beginning. I let them know, like, look, this ain't gambling. But they do have that thought, like, hey, he gambling. And people know we're comfortable financially. So they know I'm trying to win it all to try to become some millionaire. No. They recognize that I found something that I like. So I talk about it a lot.
Exactly.
And I talk about it a lot because I recognize that I've never seen access to this type of wealth. Even though I can make bread, practicing law without question. I still can't make that type of bread. I just can't.
Either way, this opens the opportunity for
like a whole nother level, bro. Like out of this world type of opportunities. And just the time for me, as I've gotten older, like I'm always trying to find ways to buy back my time. Like, so if I can get, make what it would take me 2 hours to make in 30 minutes, I just got back an hour and a half. So like, exactly. When I got access to this trading and I was like, man, you telling me, I started doing the numbers. I was like, I make $1,000 a day. I'm good. Like I literally started looking and not taking clients because I was like, I can take less clients, and I'm serious. I can take less clients and learn the skill set more. Now, I'm never going to, sacrifice the bag and I got my own firm, so I have to be there. But what I recognize is that this gave me access to something I just didn't think was possible. Like that amount of wealth transferring at that rapid speed. I've been around millionaires, right? I've been around millionaires, billionaires. But I've never been around folks that make bread like this that quick. These cats have generational wealth. Different.
So I want to hop in real quick because, just you covered a very key concept: day trading and gambling. Everybody that I talk to says that if you day trade options, you're gambling. What I want to tell you, the other side of it is using consistency. Here's how we win. If you can take one setup and win on one setup, you won. You're a profitable trader. All you have to do is go back in and repeat that same process. Do exactly what you did on the day that you won. In theory, you should win the majority of the times. The other part where people get fucked up at and why 90% of traders lose, and I like to say 90% of traders don't lose. They quit on their first tries. They can't manage risk, as Khalif is just saying. If you can just cut your losses, and what I recommend is 10 by 10, 10% of your account in the trade, cutting your losses at 10%. And if you ever see it, if you follow me on Twitter, if you ever see my P&L never goes down. When I'm having a bad time or bad rut, my P&L goes sideways. So if you look at it as compared to another traders, that other trader might have a jagged straight up move, but they almost always have that jagged straight up, straight down move at some point. And then I catch up and I outpace them and I keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. That goes back to what we were saying. If you're following your trading system and somebody else is making more money than you, realize that you are following a plan. You are trading an edge. This is not a competition. This is a journey to become profitable.
But I'll say this,
X, and that's
let me tell you this,
all
though.
of it.
I've been around a lot of cats, and you are very disciplined. And I've been around some of the best in the law, like cats that have closed, $20 million cases. For what you do, you are at the top of the game in terms of your discipline. And that's the part I think that even you underestimate, like how disciplined you are to say, nope, I'm cutting. Nope, I'm out. Even with the screaming, even with folks being euphoric and, oh man, I'm hyped up. Like, you're like, I'm out, I'm cutting. And they're like, no, I'm feeling it. And you're like, no, I'm going, I'm done. And it comes from obviously your past experience. You blow up 2 or 3 accounts, you're not trying to go through that again.
No.
But then you also have the seasoning to say, I can catch the next one. And as a new trader, people don't see the next one. All you see is that one. You're like, this is the only trade that matters. This is the last trade of my life. Like, if I don't win in this one, I'm not going to win. And you're able to be like, hey, bro, there's another trade coming in 2 minutes. Like, we'll catch the next flag.
Relax. And people don't realize that because they look at the freaking short term so much, man. Just look at the long term, man. You're going to catch. This is the U.S. economy. Do you really think nothing else is going to run? Right? We're talking about the biggest, most traded, the biggest wealth system in the fucking world. And you think that, because you didn't miss your shot call today, you're not going to catch another.
Yeah, I mean, that for me is your biggest strength, man. You picking out winners is all day. That's great. And the other thing I think is funny, man, and we kind of, again, I'm newer to trading, but reading the dude's book, Douglas's book, he talks about how, like, back in the day, nobody was a technical analysis trader. Everybody traded the fundamentals, right? And now the shift now is like the overwhelming majority of people are TNA traders, right? Everybody's charting. But if you think about it, fundamentals are creeping back in. Like, even with you looking at that, the news and what's going on, whatever that one site you're on, you're quoting like, okay, this happened today. Like, fundamentals with TNA with a mix of fundamentals, it seems like is where trading is at now, because it gives folks at least a little bit more knowledge as to why that's running. Okay.
And if you can combine that with seasonality, man, you got.
But I peeped that, like, it's definitely on the upswing where you're seeing more, at least I'm noticing more folks doing fundamental analysis. And I also say this, when I first started trading, I had Twitter on, man, and I wasn't on most social media, but I jumped on Twitter. That's how I found you. And so I was following everybody that you followed. And then, so during that time when I had that big loss, I turned off my notifications and I haven't turned them back on. And I realized I didn't need them. Like, I was being whelmed with seeing everybody else. And I wasn't really focusing on my trading plan. Like, I was watching, the other guys' alerts, and, and I like a lot of them cats, the folks over there at TrendSpider that show their stuff. I mean, they got some great things, but I was seeing so many things and I'm looking at what they're charting. I'm like, oh man, how come I didn't catch that? All right, let me write that down. So I go into the next day with like 50 charts I'm watching. I'm like, dude, you can't even catch all of them. I got 5 monitors up and I'm still not going to be able to catch them. Like you can catch the 4 or 5 that X charted the night before and you'll be okay. Like, so I haven't turned my notifications back on because I thought for me it was overwhelming. And I would have never realized that had I not had that in January, had that setback where it's like you can't catch every trade. You can't look at every chart. Check the charts that you're comfortable with, you know. So I'm always trying to find ones that fit into my price where I can grab 20 contracts, where they got a really good spread, where I can get, you know, a week out, where I get some time for it to do some moving, where I have an opportunity to have looked at it, where I have an entry to come out and an exit if it comes back. Like, you can't do that with 50 charts. You can't. And so even if you got them on your watch list, you don't have them charted out properly unless you like are literally spending 24 hours a day doing that. But you can do that for 10.
All right, let me just hop in too, because you are dropping some serious gems. I love it, man. So basically what he's saying is looking at everybody else and paying attention to what everybody else is doing is going to do nothing but hurt you. Like, I have people that come up to me that have gotten into trades off Twitter from somebody else's alert, and then they come to me and say, what should I do? Right? Like, why don't you just go past that person? But you should singly follow a winning process that is consistently doing the same thing over and over again. If you're jumping from trading this strategy to trading that strategy, Mark Douglas calls it trader drift. Trader drift. You're just going to shoot yourself in the foot, and that's what you're referring to, man. I love everything.
X, I'll tell you this. I remember before I got to your group, I was following cats on Twitter, and it just is a lone type of feeling. I got into a trade because they called it out on there. I didn't even know how to look at charts, didn't know nothing about no candles, Hakanashi, none of that crap. They literally was like, yo, I'm getting in this AMD today. It expires next week, grab it. So I got it. And then it went against me. And then this person didn't post anymore, like for the whole day. And so I'm like, so you're just gonna let me sit in this trade all day? Like, you're not gonna
Did you send him that message?
You ain't gonna say nothing about getting out? Like,
man.
Crickets, like seriously. And I remember saying, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, okay, is it going to come back? And I just remember losing my money in that trade. And I was like, okay, this can't be what trading is about. Like, you just following cats randomly without ever seeing a chart, without understanding what you're looking at, you know? And so, I mean, I've made it my business not to do trader drift. I did do some looking at some strat stuff. That was before I got on your group and still after, just because I like where it shows me price is going. I like that if okay, I can see an inside day. All right, and I watch for that break the next day. I can still combine that with a breakout and see, okay, this thing's gonna move because it just is not inside day no more. It's a 2 up. Like I can get and I can see why that's moving. It gave me a deeper understanding of why the trades were moving. But I think by all means, your juicy method still works best for me. And it's not because you get great big moves, it's because you get great big consistency.
And that's the name of the game, being consistent. Yeah.
That consistency. Like I look on there some days when y'all be trading, I may come out of court, I'm like, yo, they hit 4 for 4. Okay, they 2 out of 3. And then I look back and see what y'all got into, and it's like, oh man, they jumped into that trade. And then so I'll go back and look at the chart, and I'll see the time you called it out. I'm like, okay, so I can see what they're looking at. They saw it was about to curl. All right, they saw it was about to go. Okay, and so for me, looking back at the trades, like, you know, at one point, man, we was doing them charts like every night. Going over those trades and upcoming trades in previous trades is probably the best thing for the new trader. So I still do that. I look at every trade y'all call out, man. Every trade y'all call out.
And if you haven't noticed, we've been bringing back Trade Review, and we did it last week, and we put a link out on Twitter of the weekly meeting we had where I break down my trades and a couple students' trades. And that just leads to the next point, right? How do you become good? How do you realize what you're doing? You have to log your trades
all day.
You can't grow. You can't see anything that you're doing unless you log your trades, right? That's like saying if you go to work and just keep it at trading, when you do put on a trade, and you don't look at it and you make a mistake, you're going to repeat that mistake. It's not until you actually see that mistake by logging it and going back and looking at the chart that you cut that mistake out and you slowly weed out the bad habits, then you become more profitable. But yeah, logging your trades for me was like the big turning point for me. I'm not sure about that.
No, it is. I mean, I got that. What was the name of the program again? The
big shout outs to Trader Sync, man. I love it. I highly recommend it.
So I joined Trader Sync. And X, when I stopped using Trader Sync in January,
hey, he took that loss.
Right. I'm like, do I want to see that every day? Probably not. So yeah, for me, I'll be honest. I was Trader Sync, man. I was logging that thing, downloading the CVS file, sending it over there. I was doing all that every day consistently. And I love to see that process. And I was trying to avoid those huge dips and loving to see that more consistent consolidation, all right, then the spike, and then consolidate, then the spike with my P&L. But seeing that for me, I just like, all right, Trader Sync, me and you gonna have to holler at each other in a couple of weeks. Which was letting me know that I needed to go back in there and log. I like for Trader Sync as well that it shows you not just the P&L, it shows you like you can put those notes in there as why you took the trade, and for me, it's that mental part, that emotional part. If you can be an emotionless trader, man, I think it speaks volumes. Like you getting them trades, and it ain't like okay, I gotta have this joint win. All right, it's the end of the world. Like I've never traded like that, so I don't know what that feels like. But I can sense that a lot of cats do trade like that, and I couldn't even imagine what that feels like. Like, all right, if I don't hit this home run, like I'm gonna die. Like my whole family's gonna be broke. Like
yeah.
Like and it's not me talking about folks. It's just I can understand how it could really affect your decision making in your trade.
Exactly.
Like you're thinking about like, all right, if I don't get this grand, like my wife gonna leave me, or we ain't gonna have no diapers. Like, dang, like you're not going to cut when you should. You're going to start looking at the chart in a different way. Like Mark says, Darth Douglas says in the book, like you'll start seeing things that are clear signs to get out of the trade, and you'll sit in the trade still. Because now you've conditioned yourself to say that bad thing that happened that went against you is not bad. Oh, it just went under the 9-day. It's fine. The 20-day is still right there. Don't worry about it. Oh, it just dropped under the 20-day, the 100 days. Like you start saying,
we got room to the 200.
Right. As long as it make it to the 200, I'm good. I'm gonna say this thing. Like you didn't forgot your whole process. And so again, that's why I know that emotionless part is extremely important, man. But it also goes back to following the plan. If you don't follow those rules, like following the rules removes the emotion. That's the part that I kind of got maybe February or March, like because I never connected those two. That if I follow the rules, I don't have to have emotion. I just make the trade.
Exactly. And I created those rules for anybody listening. I give out what I call the trading playbook when you join. And I created these rules because I lost money doing that. And again, like I said, when you log your trades and you start seeing what you're doing wrong, every time you take a loss, you're saying, I'm not going to do that. So you literally write it down on a piece of paper, and that becomes a rule, and that becomes a habit that you stop doing. So you have no force you have no pressure to do these things again. Then you grow, and then again you become emotionless because you're following a structured rule.
I know one thing you asked about what else I changed. I did follow some Mark, some of the stuff that Mark talks about on the call, because I know Mark is big on commons. So I did grab a healthy position in commons because I thought that would allow me to trade a little bit more comfortable. So I said, all right, I'm gonna take a large size of my account, like half of it, and just go in commons, and one that I think I don't mind holding for 2 years. And so now as I trade with the other part of that, I still know for me that nothing is happening to that. If that goes up or down, it doesn't matter. I still have that as that investment. And I noticed that for me, my trading changed. I was like, okay, I'm not touching that bread over there. It's sitting there. I'll look at that next year. These stocks are going to go up at some point. I got a good entry. I followed the chart. I got in one that I believed in. I'm gonna let it ride out. And that commons for me really, really, because that was something I was never thinking about. I was all options. I'm not thinking about buying no commons. I don't want no shares. I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to make money. But what I will say is I look back at some of the trades I took in 2020 and some of those ones like I sat in, and I was like, man, if I would have bought shares, like they moved. Like they really moved, like, $60, $70. Okay, you got 1,000 joints, they move $60, $70, and you still sitting on it. That's all right as an investment. Obviously not as a way to make money. Different, total different. But as an investment, I noticed some of the stuff that he kept talking about on the trail. I was like, let me check out these comments that he keep talking about. And yeah, for me, it evened out my trading. So now I know that is there, and I know that I can execute my trade plan with this other part and still be successful.
Everything you said, I totally agree with. But right now we're about to hit time. So Khalif, do you got any comments you want to leave anybody? Any advice or anything?
I mean, the only thing I can say, man, is just follow the plan. If these are folks that haven't joined, obviously join. But the goal is Xavier is teaching literally how to be successful in this game, not how to make a whole lot of money. Those are the secondary effects of the success of trading a successful plan. And so for me, like just go into the lab every day, just get better, like hone your craft. If I can say one more thing about it is you are going up against the best in the world every day you go into this market. And once you recognize that, like they are putting in the work. And if you don't, you might as well just go ahead and give them your money. Like you might as well just say, go ahead and just take my checkbook, take my whole account. It's all yours. Because them cats are putting in the time, they putting in the effort, they're looking at the charts, they are prepared to come after everything you got. But if you follow the policy, you follow the plan, you're good. Like you cannot make up your own rules. It's already there. Follow the plan.
One thing I want to leave you guys with too here, and this is very, very important that everybody listens up to this. If you're getting into the market, getting new to the market, the first thing you want to do, and I like to call it, and we were talking about this over the weekend, is earn the right to trade with real money. Okay. Don't hop into the market trying to trade. You should theoretically go in simulation. And what I like to recommend is that, and this is what I do with my students now. When I get a new student, I make them paper trade for the first month on any balance. Doesn't matter. Once they get comfortable with the broker, once they get comfortable with trading, we say, how much money do you have? And let's simulate with that amount. If you can prove to me that you can become consistent in simulation, we will let you trade on your real account with one contract. He just earned the right to trade with live because he's been consistent for 2 months. Now that he's been consistent for 2 months, we can go ahead and say we can trade with one contract. And if you're consistent with that, we can work your way into this process. Trading is a process. It's not a race, all right? It's not a competition. It's a process. And realistically, it's going to take everybody that's listening 1 whole year for you to get good at it, because you need to mature. You need to become seasoned in all kinds of markets so that you can learn to have that discipline to cut when the market's going against you. And you don't want to do that with real money, right? You want to do that on simulation at first. That way you can get to that point. You want to start small, go through the motions, experience consistency, constantly do it. And then on the long term, you'll make money. What traders fuck up
I'll say this, man. Discipline and consistency, they go hand in hand, man.
100%.
If you are disciplined, you will be consistent. Like
I agree.
That's the part that it literally took me forever to catch. Like, just be disciplined and you'll consistently take wins and cut losers. That discipline, man, is just like, I don't know how you bottle that up, man. I don't know how you got it at your age, but that right there is gold, man.
And that's the secret to winning. There's no magical strategy. Everybody's trading plan will work in the right kind of market. You just got to have the discipline to wait for it. That's that fucking simple. All right.
It is, man.
We're going to go ahead and shut off the recording here because we do got 2 more students here. So we're going to go ahead and shut off the recording. I just want to thank everybody for listening. And just remember, the market will always pay the patient trader. So thank you guys for coming. Be easy.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Juicy Gems. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Also, visit juicytrades.org and join the trading community for live training videos, trade alters, or start training with the Learn, Grow, Profit Trader training program. That's juicytrades.org.